In the fight game, the name Zahabi is a pretty big deal. Firas Zahabi, head coach of Tristar Gym, is one of the most respected coaches around and has trained legends such as GSP during his career. But it is this which Firas' brother, UFC bantamweight Aiemann Zahabi, has attributed to his previous losses. Today we're discussing the younger Zahabi claiming that he has always tried to do more than he could. Stay with us. First up, let's take a quick look at Zahabi's career so far. Born in 1987, Aiemann Zahabi is younger than his more famous brother by 8 years. Of course, being Firas' little brother, he was kind of destined to become a fighter and went 6-0 in his amateur MMA career. After turning professional in 2012, Zahabi made his MMA debut against Kyle Vivian, making his opponent tap via punches, which is incredibly rare. It also speaks massively to the quality of refereeing if the opponent has to stop the fight himself. Zahabi went on to rack up 6 straight wins at the beginning of his pro career, all in the bantamweight division, before getting the call from the UFC. He showed good variation in his skill set too, finishing all 6 fights by equal parts submission and knockout stoppages. In his first UFC fight, he went up against Reginaldo Vieira, scoring a unanimous decision win. But there was trouble on the horizon. Zahabi lost his next 2 fights against Ricardo Ramos and Vince Morales, via KO and decision respectively. However, he has since picked up his form, scoring a big KO win against Drake Rodriguez, whilst also beating the ever-game, the Ultimate Fighter alum, Ricky Turcios, via decision earlier this month. 3-2 is a decent start in the UFC for the BJJ black belt, but he will be hoping he can extend his winning run going forward. What have you guys made of Zahabi's UFC career so far? Let us know below. So what has he been saying about Big Bro? Stay tuned to find out. Speaking after his win over Ricky Turcios earlier this month, Zahabi has been delivering some home truths. Big things were expected of the Canadian bantamweight when he signed with the UFC back in 2017, and he has been addressing those back-to-back losses in his early UFC career. He spoke of the big expectations that come along with his surname, saying, being Firas' brother and coming from TriStar and all that, there's all these expectations for me to win by backflip spinning hook kick or something crazy. He went on to explain that he always feels as though he has to do something special, saying, I've always tried to do more than I could. I want to finish the fight. I have to prove to everybody, like the best example was the Ramos fight. I feel like round 1, I really tried forcing the wrestling and the grappling, and it didn't work out great. So then I took away the wrestling and grappling in round 2, and I really picked him apart with my jab and my uppercut. And in round 3, I was like, he couldn't hurt me the first 2 rounds. I'm just going to go and kill him. I threw caution to the wind, and I overdid it, and it cost me. However, he says he did the opposite thing in the Morales bout, which saw him losing a decision before getting back to winning ways against Drake Rodriguez. What do you make of Zahabi's words? What else did he have to say then? Let's see. Well, following his recent back-to-back wins, which have seen him score a big KO over Rodriguez, as well as the decision win over Turcios, Zahabi has claimed he is now where he wants to be, and he is fighting the way he knows he can. Turcios was widely criticized for his performance over Zahabi, only landing 27 strikes, which Zahabi has credited to himself for not allowing Turcios any options. He said, with Ricky, I just tried to do the same thing, as against Rodriguez, but Ricky kind of didn't give me the old Ricky, suggesting that he expected Turcios to come out brawling. Zahabi explained how he expected to be the counterpuncher in the fight, but Turcios simply failed to open up. He went on to say that it was a great fight for himself, claiming he outclassed him. Zahabi also said that he had answers for everything Turcios offered, which saw Ricky in a weird place, almost shadowboxing the entire fight. When asked what's next, Aiemann said he will now go on vacation and figure out where he goes from here. He told Helwani on the MMA Hour earlier this month that he has been so focused on Turcios that he hadn't given a second thought to what's next, before saying he's going to decide where he goes from here whilst on holiday, and when he gets back, he will have some names to give to first and Sean Shelby. Who do you think he should fight next? More bantamweight news now, and TJ has been talking Aljo. Stay tuned. TJ Dillashaw will go up against current champion Aljamain Sterling at UFC 280 this October, in just his second fight since returning from his doping ban. And speaking this week on the MMA Hour, Dillashaw has revealed what he actually thinks about the current bantamweight king. Dillashaw will try to pry the belt away from the BJJ standout when they come face-to-face later in the year, but TJ has spoken out about Sterling's performance against Peter Yan, saying that although he won the last fight, the way he won it originally wasn't the best way to win, suggesting he didn't handle the situation very well. TJ said, but still, I don't feel like he gained that much more respect for the fact that he's not a dangerous fighter. I mean, he's probably gained more respect than he would have if he would have pumped himself full of PEDs, right? Dillashaw then claimed he isn't particularly worried about being finished by Sterling, while conceding that he is skilled in what he does. TJ went on to say, he's not a fighter, he's more of an athlete. which our sport is professional athletes, but we are all fighters and want to go out there and get that finish. Of course, Dillashaw is no stranger to finishing fights himself, holding a string of TKO and KO wins over opponents such as Cody Garbrandt in the past, but it's hard to listen to someone who's been busted for cheating claim someone isn't a real fighter. What do you guys think? Next up, Sugar Sean has been on. Stay with us. O'Malley will take on Peter Yan at UFC 280, which is shaping up to be a huge event for the bantamweight landscape, and he has recently been discussing his chances in the matchup. While talking himself up as he always does, O'Malley was brought back down to reality when asked by Ariel Helwani about the upcoming Yan bout. Explaining how he saw it from Yan's perspective, O'Malley, who regularly brings odd points of view to the table, suggested the Russian took the bout because a win of Sugar would hold a ton of weight. I mean, who wouldn't see a win over number 13 in the division as the best thing since sliced bread? O'Malley believes he is a big threat for the former champ, saying it's a risky fight for Peter. Well, maybe he is. He looks at me and he is a high-level boxer. He's a level MMA fighter. He's got to look at me and know that I have legitimate skill. Not really in the top 10, but I think in his head, a win over me is a huge win. Going on to prove that he thinks very highly of himself, O'Malley claimed he is the biggest name in the UFC bantamweight division, before saying he's not surprised Yan took the fight. Okay, Sean, whatever you say. And finally, could Miesha Tate be set for bantamweight return? Tate was taken apart by Lauren Murphy at the recent Long Island event, and following the fight, she has teased to move back up to bantamweight. Of course, she made history by submitting Holly Holm to become bantamweight champ back in the day, and she has since admitted that she has work to do after losing 2 straight before any announcement can be made about her future. Speaking last week, Tate explained that before she makes any announcement regarding her plans, she needs to take some time to figure it out and recover. She went on to reveal how the camp for the Murphy fight was particularly long, before saying, "I don't know if I'm going to stay at 125 or just go back to 135, where I can enjoy my life. The diet for that long made me want to blow my brains out. It was terrible. I think I might stay at 135. I don't know, we'll see. I need a little time to regroup and see where I go from it." We get it, Miesha. Do you think she should return to bantamweight? As usual, thanks for tuning in today. And remember to stop by again next time for some more fun reveals. And why not do us a solid by sharing today's video with any UFC heads you might know of, while also subscribing to our channel. Bye guys.